1, Willie Dean against Steve Bruck, and Steve's going to get us started here on lane number 5.
Willie Dean beat Bill Heflin this morning, 226 to 215, to earn the right to be right here.
Steve's first shot a little bit tight. Steve, of course, on the show last year, but has never been king. Carries an average of 207 and 208. Started his bowling up in Hamilton.
Wants to start this match with a spare. That's the way you bring back the 3-6-10. Steve with a little more airtime than Willie, as we mentioned in the opening, George, but Willie's got a pretty sound game. Very compact backswing. And his first time on TV. We'll see how he reacts as the little red light comes on, but comes off the side of the ball a little bit more than most people, but boy, when it hits, it hits.
You got that right.
That's that blue hammer.
Those pins got out of there in a hurry. Started his bowling at Montgomery Bowl some 23 years ago. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
I don't know. He sure doesn't look 41 to me. I don't understand that, but if he says so.
Took care of himself.
All right.
Took care of the pins, too. He opens with a double here in our opening match.
That is fabulous. Willie Dean, I'll tell you what, you want to get rid of the butterflies? Start out with a double. That kind
of that
soothes things over a little bit. There's Tony Plank. Each and every week he shows up to keep us company here.
Mr. Dave Grosser from Green Hills Lanes, and as I said at the beginning, Vi McKinney from Strikes and Spares.
Just doesn't quite carry.
A little overcorrection for going high in the first frame, George. Trusting that ball, leaving it out to the right, coming in, almost getting a strike, but leaving a 7. He'll be shooting this cross lane.
Speaking of Strikes and Spares, I don't know, Dave, if you've been out there lately, but they have a fabulous setup in the lounge. They have 12 dartboards, some video games. It is just very nice. Vi McKinney's done a great job out there.
Well, I did go out 2 weeks ago for the qualifier, Jen, and you're absolutely right. And not only that, they make one of the hottest ham sandwiches in town.
Right.
It was great. Of course, Mike Whalen had to order 2.
Uh-huh.
But most of us one is mine.
But you'll be back for your second one sometime.
Well, Mike's got a little bit more car to take care of there. You know? He's got a little more car to feed.
Hey, I can understand that.
Steve Bruck, left-hand lane. Let's see if he makes a correction. He went high on this lane in frame number 1. He's not going to go high this time. Oh! Great correction. Super shot. Leaves a solid 9. This is caused by the ball rolling off very, very strongly, as we're going to see here. Now watch it cut through the 1, the 3, take the 5 pin straight back, and instead of deflecting to the right, it goes to the left.
Really bad break.
Yep.
He'll try to keep that string of spares alive. Does it rather easily.
Jennifer, when you leave a 9-pin, what you might tell the ladies at home, basically, what's your adjustment on the lane? How do you handle that?
I'll move a little bit left, maybe a half a board to a board, maybe play a little bit of a tighter line, not get so much into the dry so that the angle's so hard through the pocket.
Okay, moving left with your feet. Absolutely right. Works for everybody. I got to move a little bit more than that, but
right.
Leave your strike target the same.
Wow.
Leave your strike target the same and execute, and you make it every time. Willie Dean, my goodness, what a great shot. Take a look at this. Right over about that 7th board. Any deflection here? You be the judge.
Great shot.
Total annihilation.
Willie averaging in the high 2 teens, even carries a 220 in one league. So the man knows all about getting it done here on the lanes.
Oops. Ball almost held up, George. He did not clear the ball at the right time. By that I mean the thumb stayed in a little bit long. Normally it'll cause you to pull the ball, which is what happened, but Willie almost got away with that one, leaving a 4-pin.
So he's opened up at least a 21-pin lead here. Had to hurry.
Willie's smiling as he looks at the score sheet there. Will find himself in the lead by, oh, why don't we make it about 30 pins, roughly. Figuring pin count and such. Steve Bruck's got a little ground to make up. We have watched him make up ground in tournaments before. Yep. Absolutely perfect.
A strike here in the fourth for Steve Bruck. So, as you said, Dave, he can make up ground in a hurry, and that's the way you start to do it.
Well, it's 21 pins is his deficit at this point, but with the strike up, he can cut that to 11 pins before he sits down.
The qualifier for the finals will be March the 31st out of Kingpin Lanes. They'll be starting at noontime, men and women. 10 women rather, and approximately 32 to 34 men bowling to earn the right to make it to the final show.
Bingo!
That was buried.
Must be in the front row. Cuts it to 11 pins, and Willie Dean, if he's going to feel the pressure, he'll be feeling it right now, coming up on the right-hand lane.
There's Miss Vi McKinney behind Steve there. Sammy Coleman and Tony Plank.
Willie Dean up in the fifth.
Hung up a little bit again. Not quite. It's not saying that's what happened to him, George, but sometimes if you're not really comfortable out there, you have a tendency to squeeze the ball. If you squeeze the ball, you hang in it a little bit, and it makes a difference. Cutting through, leaving the 310, not that difficult of spare. Let's see if Willie can bring this back by fitting the ball up between the 3 and the 10. It's close. Look out. Ooh.
Almost.
Gave it a pretty good run.
That he did, and that 21-pin edge that we were talking about has now disappeared, and we have a basically even match for all intents and purposes.
Steve Bruck working on the double, and Willie Dean opened here in the fifth. Going to need to get back on track, because as you said, Dave, this match basically even now.
Let's see if he'll clear this, and he clears this ball a little better. Still rolls up high on him, leaving the 4, 6, 7, 9 back to back. Chances of making this, George, are all about 1 out of 9.
Is that right? They're that good?
Very difficult.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, I wouldn't think
Well,
it'd
it's
be
I
that
guess
good.
for me,
it's
they
like
would
the
be about
4-9.
1 in 900, huh? You don't see this often, do you? I mean,
Well,
this
you
is kind
shoot
of a strange one.
That's right, it is, but it's just like the 4-9, only got a little kicker thrown in. You got to get a little less of the 4-pin. That's not going to make it. But hopefully that 4 kicks over in between the 9 and 6 and kind of twirls around, and it's a pretty one to watch.
I did make that this week.
Well, I know that.
Did you know I was going to say that?
I know that.
Except I had the 10 with it. But that's the
Ooh,
first
the
time
big
I've
4.
made it in a very, very long time.
A tough couple of frames there for Willie Dean. And the door is wide open for this man, Steve Bruck. He's working on a double here in the sixth.
He can actually take a 12-pin lead with a strike here.
That he does. Well, the door was open, and this man took full advantage.
Like in the tournament, I'll be back.
Yes. A little Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What
there.
door? Steve Bruck, we've watched him in tournaments before and in some, we'll say, free play, head-to-head action at different establishments. And Steve does not give up. He's a fighter. And when he's a front runner, he's a little tough to catch. Boy, did he set that ball down. Very, very tentative shot. Steve Bruck setting the ball down creates the early roll right here. Look at that, just over the foul line. It's going to start hooking right now. He knows he does not really have a chance. Cuts through.
Boy.
The big 5. Back to even. Look at this.
Oh, no. Disastrous to do that.
Leave 5 pins on the first ball on a strike, and then 5 out. Not what you want to do in match play. You gave away 10 pins.
Well, we're going to be back to just about even.
Yeah, that just shows you how quickly it turns. I mean, Willie Dean had the big lead, and then Steve Bruck with the chance to move well out in front.
He's changed balls.
Yep.
It worked.
Good change.
And do you think, Dave, the fact is that he wasn't coming out of the other ball that well?
I have to feel that that was the case. We'll ask him after the first match, Jennifer, but it just looked like he was hanging continually in the ball, whether it was a squeeze or whether it was the ball. Really don't know.
Sometimes just by changing balls, though, you kind of get a new attitude.
Maybe I ought to drill up some new equipment.
It's just what I was thinking.
Oh, thanks, George.
No, about myself.
Oh, okay, all right.
And again, trouble on that left-hand lane.
Willie cutting through, leaving 3, 6, 9, 10. Now, this is a combination of the baby split with a kicker, and then to complicate it even more, you've got a sleeper. Best way to shoot this is to make believe the 3 and the 6 are the strike pocket and hit it just to the right of center. Nope. No, that's a chop.
He's just having all kinds of trouble out there. Had a chance to go a pin up in front, but boy, it is one of those where you just, the hot potato.
Here,
Nobody
you take
wants
it. I
it.
don't want it. You take it.
The winner of this seesaw match, of course, will go on to meet Terry Ciccone in our next match. Terry, a fabulous bowler.
Of course, waiting in the wings in the championship match, Brian Himmler.
Yep. Yep. There you go. That's the building block you want now. If Steve Bruck wants to put this match out of reach, he can strike here in the 9th frame. That will give him a 20-some pin lead, and that will be just about all she wrote for Willie Dean. But this is a big shot right here.
Bruck entering the 9th frame, looking to double up.
Broke it down to just the 10 pin.
That's a good break. You saw as we cut away there the 3, 6, 10 being up, and then a pin rolling across took out the 3 and the 6. Steve Bruck goes to a harder shell ball. There you see the culprit still wiggling. Goes to a harder shell ball to shoot cross lane and make this spare. No work, huh?
Well, it looks like 13 pins in the lead for Steve Bruck.
Willie Dean, if he strikes out in the 9th and 10th frame, can come up with an even 200 game, and that would force Steve Bruck to get the first 2. Willie needs a strike. Good mixing action, but leaving the 2 pin, fairly easy spare, cuts his potential now down to 190, and all Steve Bruck would have to do in the 10th is mark.
With the count of 7 or better.
Yeah, there you go. One of the viewers sent in a note, said they were wondering why there's so many different bowling balls on the rack when there's only 2 contestants. The rules for number of bowling balls on the rack is really not relevant in this particular tournament. As a matter of fact, some of the guys even pull some of the equipment off the rack when we go to the air. But typically in the ABCs, for example, they mention here that you're only allowed to bring 2 balls out. Well, that's not quite right either. You can bring 4 out and only have 1 on the rack at a time. So, little guy like me, that's about all I can carry, George.
I hear that.
But Herb, thanks for sending in your question and comment. Herb Summy.
Another 10 pin for Willie Dean.
Willie's having a little bit of trouble. After a fantastic start with the first 3 strikes, the best he can finish with at this point is 179. Steve Bruck, 153 with a spare up, 63. He's just about got the match won, but it's not over yet. Willie needing this spare.
So Willie picks up the spare here in the 10th. As you said, Dave, the best he can finish with is a 179, and boy, he's thinking about this one getting away with the 3 open frames. 3 out of 4 open frames from the 5th through 9th.
Well, that count by Willie Dean reduces Steve Bruck's task to only bringing back 8 or more on 2 attempts in the 10th frame, which is fairly academic.
However, Steve did have that 5-out frame, but I don't think that'll happen again.
He may leave another big 5, but I guarantee you'd get 3 of them.
And that would do it.
Oh, what a way to do it.
Yeah.
That makes sure.
Take out the left-hand wall while you're at it. Can strike out for 203, but he already has 183, and that's enough to be the winner of our first match.
Of course, Steve will move on to meet the veteran, the man we've seen time and time again throughout the years.
Mr. Terry Ciccone.
No stranger to this show at all. Steve Bruck, if he picks these up, has a 193. Which would give him a 16-pin win.
But a 193 in the next game, I almost guarantee, will not be enough.
We'll see how it shakes down. Steve Bruck, the winner of match number 1 over Willie Dean, 193 to 177. We'll be back to see if Bruck can do it against Terry Ciccone.